Anita is an award-winning quilter, collector, author, and quilt judge. Her specialty is applique, and she's going to share some of her ideas with us. Welcome back, Anita.
Thanks, Linda. It's nice to be here again.
I can't wait to see the projects that you've been working on.
Well, I've been playing a lot with this big machine. You know, this is new for me, the idea of quilting with a machine and all, but I love this big baby. And been having some fun not only in quilting designs, but also seeing where else I can make this machine go. And for me, of course, applique is natural territory for me. So I'm going to start this up.
Okay.
And one of the things that I'm doing with the applique is that I'm quilting the background first.
Oh, that's
And then,
interesting.
then I'm going to put the applique on top of that. I think a lot of times when we use a long arm for applique, we quilt background and then the applique is sort of standing up there on its own. So if I can quilt this background first, then it behaves
So
itself.
that's kind of backwards from what
It
we
is
usually
backwards,
do.
isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
How fun.
And I'm doing a Southwestern theme here. I'm using your inside out pattern, which I really love.
Oh, thanks.
And it's going to finish out this background, and then we'll see what we can do on top of it.
This is really fun, doing something so completely, you know, different
A new
from
idea.
what we normally do.
Well, I think if we buy these big machines, we should make them work for us as much as we can.
Yeah, and I think we're just, you know, figuring out all of the stuff that we can
So much
do.
potential in
Yes,
these.
the
Yeah,
creativity.
it's really exciting. I try to stay out of its way. That's my other trick here.
And it is mesmerizing, isn't it? Just
I love watching this machine work. It's just so fascinating. This whole thing is new for me, and whee, right off the edge there. So
And
we'll
it's
be done
okay,
with
it can
this.
go off and on the
It
edge
does.
without any
I
problem.
often, when I quilt a panto, I run it off the edge just a little bit because I think that secures those edges and makes it easier to put the binding
Yes.
on. So right to my fingertips, and we'll be done. Yeah, so now we can, I've already measured the space inside here, and actually I pieced this block to the proportions I need for my applique, so that's one thing that might be helpful there. So now I've changed to a brown thread, and I'm going to use that to applique. That will, I think, show on this black fabric. My applique piece I have not cut yet. It actually fills the whole space that the applique will occupy.
Very cool. Just laid it on there and pinned it on.
Yep, got it
Easy.
fastened in. I don't want to baste this like we would normally do edges because I want to be able to cut it away later.
Okay.
So I have my pattern in. It's going to be a little bear.
Oh,
And I've
cute.
set it up in single block mode, which means I can click corners and the bear
it'll
will
put
be
it in there.
centered, situated. I've also changed my margins to 3/4 of an inch.
Okay,
where
so
we might-
inside the block, so you can adjust how far in you want that to stitch.
Right,
I see.
right.
Okay.
In a quilting pattern, we might want only a 1/4 inch margin so that it fills the block. And in applique, we want a little breathing space
Okay,
around.
okay.
So I've made that just a little bigger. So I think we can just say start. And then in single block, I'm going to
So you go out to the corner.
click 4 corners. And that identifies the space. That shows the machine where
Where to
its
stitch.
boundaries are, where
Okay.
it needs to go. And then I'm going to just say go and do it. Oh, I got it.
I love that.
Let me do this here. Pull up that bobbin thread. Oh, that one
There it goes.
tied off. Sometimes in some applique shapes I might not want to tie off. I might want to tie those in by hand.
By yourself,
Yeah,
yes.
it just depends on what the piece is about. If it's show material, which I think this really isn't, this is more craft quilting, but on a show quilt I would want to tie those in by hand.
And
This
this
is-
cute little pattern that you are stitching today, I just want the viewers to know if they are interested in this little bear pattern with the heart, then you have provided that as a free pattern.
Right.
They can visit our website.
Right.
Then thank
can
you.
have that. Oh, you're
Thank
welcome. You're welcome. My sister enjoys bears. This is one of her favorite. This Southwest bear is something she likes to do. So there's the bear, and then I put a little heart in here. This is one that I digitized myself, so that's kind of fun
That
too.
is
An
really
exciting
fun.
part of this process that I can create designs that I want
Certainly is.
myself. And there we are, just like that, all done.
Okay. Now we have to
Now we have to
do
cut
something
away.
with all that fabric,
That's
don't
right.
we?
That's right. This will be cutaway edges, and so it'll be a raw edge shape.
Okay, so now obviously you're going to be trimming away. We're finished with the stitching.
Right, we're done with the
Okay.
machine, and we'll have, the next step is going to look like this then. The bear is stitched, and you can see I've taken away
Just
most
trimmed
of
it
this by magic. That goes away.
Oh, that is
And
really
a
gonna
little
be
pair of
cute.
scissors, and we can leave, I guess we can leave as much margin as you like, a
Mm-hmm.
quarter inch or maybe a little more. It depends on how much you want that to fray,
fray out.
Yeah, because it's kind of an interesting texture in the piece.
Mm-hmm.
But there it is. Now on the back,
Do you wash that then to get it to fray, or just
well, I
depending on
guess
what
that'd
you
be your
want?
choice too. Yeah, what you want to do with it.
Okay.
I guess I haven't really washed any of these. They're all pretty new to me. So, and of course, some fabrics ravel more than others, so you
True.
get different
And
textures
on different
with that.
angles? So yeah, very nice.
It's
Really
fun.
cute.
It's fun. And if I can just flip it over on the back, you can see where the bear is stitched through.
Mm-hmm.
But then behind it, the quilting behind it, I think really stabilizes the quilt a lot more than if that were just loose
And
back
gives
there.
it the even balanced quilting that it needs.
Yep.
Terrific. Terrific.
So, some other things?
Yes, I would love to see all the projects that you brought today to show us.
Let's, the one in the back, the big one, the big star quilt, is actually the first one that I did with this technique. And basically the same thing. I quilted, I had a plan for stars and stripes, and so I pieced the patchwork and the
And
square of fabric.
quilted the star pattern on the
Quilted
entire.
stars and loops
Okay.
first, which, lots of us know how to do that one, I
Yes.
guess. And then again, just clicking corners gave me the star. Now I digitized this star also, and I think on these it was important that the star, the stitching lines go through there, rather than just an outline, a
'Cause it
silhouette
would
of the
kind of
star.
poof out a little bit there,
Right,
wouldn't
want to
it?
stabilize the center in the same way the heart did for the
For
bear.
the bear.
pattern. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So get some quilting inside of that as well.
Right. Here's
So it's quilting on top of quilting, isn't it?
it really is.
What can be better than that?
But the idea of appliques that are
Oh, how
already
cute.
stitched and detailed. So we can add, we
Yes.
don't have to do in the ditch around applique because the outline is defined. We get good pattern within the applique.
I love this
And
idea.
so- look at this fun, isn't this cute?
Yeah,
These little
just put it
lights.
down, stitch, and then cut away.
Yep. Yeah. So
Yeah.
lots of different ones. In a rectangular shape like this, we can actually use the machine in a square and do corners. Or if you know that it's going to be rectangular, you can do the piece like that. But the program, if you freeze aspect, then it knows that the tree is
That size and keeps the
rectangular.
proportion.
It will stay that way, right? So picking the quilting pattern to fit the mood of the piece, and then finding that
And
shape
then
that will
finding the
fit in.
appliques.
So those are both working within blocks, but if we're going to do something else with kind of a free-form floating applique,
Oh, this is adorable.
something like this, where I pieced a background of just half-square triangles. This sort of sits over seam lines, and of course the bees just float around. So what I did on those, on the bees, this of course was this little baby, the bees, if you get your pieces and just say, oh, I think I'd like one there and I'd like one there, and I know how big they need to be, cut the fabric, the margin bigger, if it's 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch, and then click corners. And they will just float in there where they belong. So.
This just makes it so fun. Any motif, any design that you
Yep,
decide.
and
We could have a quilt for every holiday so fast.
We really could. It's amazingly fast and fun. And of course I've got the hives and the bees in the quilting
In the
pattern
quilting
too.
as well.
I called
It's
this one
gorgeous.
Honeybee Heaven.
Oh.
I thought that was cute.
I love naming quilts,
This
don't you?
one, yes, I do. Yes, I do. So I had this fishy fabric, and I thought this would be fun. In our files, in our quilting files, we had this fish and some seashells, and then I digitized the starfish to go with it. The quilting pattern is fish.
You've been having a lot of fun with that computer, haven't you?
This project, this idea has been a lot of fun.
That is so cute.
So again, those were just free floating, just putting them where I wanted them to be. This is a long one. This is a
And
big
a
one.
fall
It's a
quilt.
table runner, and actually this is one
okay.
of the first ones I did. So I got into all my fall, my plaids, which I
Spider
thought
web
would
and
be-
spiders.
Right,
and
so
you-
quilted to fit the mood. Now in this one, I used the same pumpkin, single pumpkin pattern file, but stretch,
Changed
skew.
it.
Yep,
Aha.
I can make them different shapes. I can make them vertical, horizontal, different. And for a little bit of overlap, then we'd want to stitch one,
And
trim
then
away.
in layers.
Yes.
Do it in layers.
Get
so-
this one trimmed
yeah,
and then set
because
the
that
next
looks
one
so
on.
nice.
So
Looks so
long table
nice.
runner with pumpkins on either end.
Oh, I want one of those
And
for
again,
my
the
table.
stitching, important, that interior stitching to add the detail to
And
this.
that was done at the same time when you put the pumpkin on.
Right.
So
And you can see this one's starting to fray. This one, you know, woven plaids
That makes
do
it
that,
look
so raggy and wonderful.
really homespun. Very homespun.
But another idea that maybe it doesn't need to be just a pantograph, that we might do some custom quilting here. So this one, an Hawaiian kind of design, and again, these patterns are mine, but a quick way to start with the basic pieced background. And I did the custom quilting in the ditch and details, and I have feathers in here and a border pattern. So if you wanted something that wasn't just panto quilting, still could be done.
You can still do it.
And then within the block, I was able to set some different patterns in there.
Boy, I can just see how we can get more quilts on our walls.
We can just go on and on.
Yeah, this
I
is
think
great.
on this one too, on the raggy ones, if you want that texture, those kind of fabrics are good. If you wanted something more controlled, a batik probably would be a good answer
So
there.
they don't fray.
That would give you a
so
more
easily.
stable edge. So you have those choices too if you want something a little more refined. Just depends on what you're looking for. And then one of the other things I have digitized are old English letters.
Oh,
So now this
how
one
fun.
appliqued and then actually was finished with an edge cut very close and with a finished edge rather than raggy. So I
Okay.
think there's that opportunity too.
Okay. So you laid this on and the machine stitched it, and then you went over it with your
With my domestic machine
and
to
did
put,
the blanket stitch
right,
with it.
Right.
Wow.
These are also fused, which is a possibility that the fabric wouldn't be just a plain piece of fabric, but could already have the fusible in there.
That would give it more
stitch
stability once you're finished. You
Right.
just press it.
So you'd stitch it and then trim it and then
And then
press it.
press it.
Yeah.
Everything
So
backwards.
Everything upside down. Yes, that's right. But lots of
Wow.
options. So many new ideas in this new world
This
we're
really
into.
does give
Well, you've
your
been there forever.
creativity wings. Yeah, but I mean, it just keeps going, just keeps expanding. So thank you so much for being here and sharing your upside down ideas with us today. You
Thank
just
you.
keep going, and I know that you have a new book coming out.
I do?
And it's exciting because it's combining machine and hand and
Yes.
everything, all the tools that we use.
My long time background with handwork and the domestic machine and quilting and now the long arm and even computerized work. It's just it's exciting for me to be able to combine all of those in the same
Absolutely.
piece.
Why shouldn't we
So-
use everything available? And we need people like you to just
agree.
keep showing us all the things we can do. So thank you so much.
Thank you.